Essentially, you want the landlord or your customer or your client to really understand what you're offering them and how you can help them. Hi, welcome to this video. Today we'll be talking to you about how to get started in rent-to-rent. So what is rent-to-rent? Rent-to-rent is essentially a model whereby you're not acquiring or purchasing a property, but what you're doing is you're renting a property. Essentially, you're renting a property from a landlord. What we do is we have a management agreement in place where the management agreement states we can turn the property into a HMO. A HMO is where you rent out the property as rooms as opposed to renting it as a single family. Then we guarantee X amount of rent to the landlord, and then we make the difference based on the rent collected for each of the rooms less the landlord's rent. So here's a few reasons why rent-to-rent might be for you. Rent-to-rent's a great strategy because it requires little money down. So essentially, if we compare it to a buy-to-let model, you'll be purchasing a property, putting down 25% deposit in the purchase, whereas with rent-to-rent, essentially you're paying for the first rent in advance, usually a small deposit, which is the equivalent of 1 month's rent, and that's it. Typically, a rent-to-rent property would generate you between £500 to £1,000 net profit, depending on the rental negotiated with the landlord. Another reason why you might want to get into rent-to-rent is because you're looking for a quick return as opposed to waiting for a conveyancing process. So there's no conveyancing process with rent-to-rent. When you acquire a new rent-to-rent, you usually pick up the keys within a week as opposed to buy-to-lets where you're purchasing a property and you won't get the keys until completion, which usually takes 6 to 8 weeks. So how do you get started in rent-to-rent? There's 3 main topics that I'm going to be talking to you about. One is registering a company and registering for the mandatory requirements as a management company. 2, I'll be talking to you about building credibility. And the third thing, and how to get started, is actually sourcing rent-to-rents for your newly business. So let's get started with number 1. Number 1 is registering a company. It's very simple. Go to Companies House. It costs like £12 or £6, and you just simply register a company. This is your management company. Essentially, you're like a letting agent. Once you've registered a company, the second thing that you need to legally do as a property manager is register for one of the property redress schemes. The one that we're registered to is called the PRS, Property Redress Scheme. It's something like £200 for the year, and it's something you have to renew every year. So now that you've got a company that's registered and you're effectively a legal regulated letting agent or managing agent, you can now move on to the next part. The next part, number 2, is building credibility. How do you build credibility? First thing you want to do is effectively have a website. A website detailing your fees, your services to landlords. Third is how the model works. Essentially, you want the landlord or your customer or your client to really understand what you're offering them and how you can help them. Another way of building credibility is by applying to one of the associations out there, one of the landlord associations. So NLA, for example, National Landlord Association. This gives you some ammo to be able to confront landlords, showcase that you're a great property manager and that you have a model that ticks all of their boxes. So the third and final thing, now that you've got an established company, it's completely regulated, you've got a nice pretty website behind you, so showcasing your services, you've got brochures ready, all the sales materials that you need to be able to showcase to a landlord. The next and final thing is to then go and source rent-to-rent property. If you don't have a marketing budget, there is a way of being able to source rent-to-rent properties for free, and that's through agents. So if you want to get started in rent-to-rent, simply go into Rightmove, look at potential properties where you can rent out rooms to be able to make a profit after deducting landlord's rent. So to recap, first thing you want to do is register a company and register for one of the redress schemes. Second is building credibility. You want to have a website, you want to have the brochures and the sales materials to present to your client for getting started into rent-to-rent. And the third thing is you actually have to start sourcing properties through agents if you don't have a marketing budget. So that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel where we'll be doing a lot more video content for you about rent-to-rent and other property investment strategies. Tell me what you want. Tell me what you want to learn. I'll be happy to do more video content related to what you guys suggest. Just comment below and I'll see you in the next video.